Good afternoon, everybody. Now I will let you know the agri commodities weekly outlook for the coming week and also let you know what has happened in the last week. In the last week, we have seen that the entire oilseed complex had advanced further with gains of around 0.1% in the RM seed and around 1.7% in the CPO. Soybean prices, however, traded in the negative terrain towards the end of the week as because the oilseed acreage in the domestic has increased sharply to around 8.13 lakh hectares as against the normal of around 3.37 lakh hectares. This has exerted a downside pressure on the oilseed prices. Among the spices, we have seen that the entire spices complex had traded on a positive note, apart from cardamom, which traded in the negative terrain. Turmeric posted maximum gains of around 4.6%, followed by jeera of around 4.1%, and thereafter by chili of around 2%. Cardamom, although traded on a negative note, as because the arrivals in the domestic market is sufficient to cater the demand. Apart from that, the demand is also sluggish, which has exerted a downside pressure on the cardamom prices. Benta prices continue to trade on a higher note as the supplies have disrupted due to the downpour in the growing areas, which has curtailed the supplies in the domestic market. Among the pulses, chana prices continue to trade with mild losses as demand remains sluggish, but it is expected to gain in the coming weeks. Sugar prices continue to trade with a negative note as because the acreage has improved slightly amidst lackluster demand. Besides that, the government has ruled out further increase in the import duty, which also weighed on the prices. We have seen that the monsoon has covered the entire India before time. The monsoon has covered the entire India and is 54% above long period average. If we talk about the Kharif sowing as on June 21 stood around 109.07 lakh hectares, a rise of 45% as compared to 75 lakh hectares in the previous week. In the coming week, we expect chana prices to bounce back from the lows as demand is expected to increase in the coming days at lower levels. Among the oilseeds, we expect soybean to trade in the negative terrain as the acreage has increased in the growing areas, which would raise the hopes of better production this year. This would exert a downside pressure on the soybean prices. However, mustard seed and refined soya oil prices are expected to trade with a positive note as demand is expected to increase ahead of Ramzan. In the spices, we expect all the spices to trade with the positive bias as because the demand from the local stockists as well as demand ahead of Ramzan is expected to exert an upward pressure on the spices. Cardamom will although trade in the negative terrain as the supplies are sufficient to cater the demand. Now for the recommended strategies. Soybean prices are expected to trade with a negative bias and therefore we recommend a sell at around 3850 for a target of 3680, keeping a stop loss of 3950. It would trade in the range of 3640 to 3980. RM seed prices are expected to bounce back and therefore we expect the prices to trade higher, and therefore we recommend a buy at around 3520, keeping a stop loss of 3477 for a target of 3600. Chana prices are expected to trade in the range of 3150 to 3450. Therefore, we recommend a buy at around 3230, keeping a stop loss of 3175 for a target of 3380. Jeera prices are also expected to trade higher. It would trade in the range of 13250 to 14,200. We can buy jeera at around 13,400, keeping a stop loss of 13,275 for a target of 14,100. Mentha oil prices are also expected to trade higher and it would trade in the range of 920 to 1150. We can buy it around 1020 keeping a stop loss of 950 for a target of 1140. Thank you.